Hey everybody, welcome to the ParaGeeks show, and tonight I've got a special guest coming on with me. Met this young man up in Gatlinburg, and all of us have kind of seemed to hit it off really well, and so I'm going to bring in, we have Michael Butler on tonight. How you doing, Michael?
Doing great, brother. How are you today?
I'm good. I worked on an RV all day today. Today was just a weird day. Well, that and I worked on my wife's car, so she's getting ready to go back down to Florida. But anyway, so Michael, you've been in the Bigfoot world for about how long now?
Actively searching for about 6-7 years now.
6-7 years. So you actually been in it longer than I have, because I've only been in this. I've only joined the realm, as I call it. I think it's in the past 4 years. Now, I've always been interested. I've always thought, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Yeti, whatever you want to call it. I know there's something out there, and we'll get into that. And you are over in the Blue Ridge, LJ area, correct?
That is correct. I'm just a few miles south of LJ in a little town called Talking Rock. And I've lived here all my life, really.
So you're from there. When someone says, "Oh, I'm from LJ," or "I'm from Blue Ridge," or "I'm from here," it's like, "Oh, you transplanted there a couple of years ago," but you really truly are from there.
Yes, I'm living on a farm that my grandfather owned and his great grandfather owned. So been here a while.
That is very cool. So I see the shirt you have on is you're a fan of the Expedition Bigfoot there yeah, look at that, baby. Represent.
Gotta represent.
That is so awesome. So before we get started, I want to show this video that we did. I was able to hook up with you and a couple other guys, and you can talk about them. And so we were taking them, or you were taking them. I was just a follow along. I felt like a tag along, right? But the thing about going out in the woods and going and doing the searching, whether it's during the daytime, or it's the morning, or it's the evening, or it's at night, because we kind of did a little bit of everything, if I'm right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the one thing that I've heard several people say is, and it blows my mind, that, oh, brown bears or black bears, they're just not aggressive. They're not mean. They really aren't there to harm you. And you're right. These people are right. They're not there to harm you, but they are very aggressive, especially during when they first wake up and if they've got cubs, right?
Yes, very much. Or if, like the guy in Arkansas found out this past week, if they have health issues, things of that nature, they're extremely dangerous.
Okay.
We had the report in Arkansas. I think it was the second confirmed black bear that had happened this year, just in Arkansas alone.
Right.
I haven't been keeping up with the Georgia stats. Where the bear are on the move, especially in North Town. We had one that had been kind of watching for about a week, that kept crossing the roads in downtown Jasper, and he was hit yesterday.
Right.
So they're definitely on the move right now, and definitely something that people need to be aware of and be cautious of, because
I do see people that go to Gatlinburg, or they'll go over to Pigeon Forge, or those little surrounding areas, and yeah, the bears there are just not super aggressive. Now, the hotels will tell you don't leave any food in your car, or they will rip your car open like a can opener to get to the food, which I have actually literally witnessed this. So when they tell you don't leave food, don't leave food. But there's been several times when we were up there in Gatlinburg, and right down the middle of the street, there comes a mom and two cubs, do, like nothing's none of it. And those those bears that are in that area, they understand. Like over in Cades Cove, right? They all kind of understand. Well,
Oh, yeah.
these are people. They feed us, so don't eat them, right? But you get out in the woods, and that kind of stuff does not happen. And here's a fact that I did not know. I watched. I think I sent this to you the other day. Is bears don't truly hibernate. They get lethargic and they go into their cave, which means because if you hibernate, that means that their blood and their organs and everything go down to almost zero, below freezing, and they hibernate. That means they're completely frozen, or whatever it is that the glycol gets produced into the system, whole 9 yards. But bears, they don't. They just go into their dens and they get real slow, real lethargic, but doesn't mean they won't come out to get something to eat. Am I correct on that? I mean, I just heard that.
You are correct on that. And in this area, I have a friend that black bear. His name was Chewy, and Chewy was about 500 pounds. And when it came time for him to hibernate, he would go in his enclosure, and he would defend that enclosure even from his owner, and they were best friend.
Wow.
But he knew you don't go in the enclosure at all. You just feed him and, slide the food in and walk away.
Yep. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to show this video because and then we'll come right back after the video and we'll talk about it a little bit. So here you go, guys. This is Mr. Michael Butler interviewing these two young guys that we took out in the woods, or actually he took out in the woods. I was just there to film it. We'll be right back after it plays.
Hey guys, it's Michael Butler. We're out on investigation. I'm here with Andrew Alton and Joseph Holland, or Joe Holland, I think either one? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And we wanted to do a little bit of interview so you guys get to know us, you get to know him, kind of your first experience in this field of Sasquatch research.
Well, surprisingly enough, our first experience was together. Mm-hmm. Same time, same place, same bat channel. So we were hiking in the mountains up above Cades Cove in Smoky Mountains, just outside of Gatlinburg, outside of Townsend specifically. And we had been sent there by Sky Carpenter. And when we first got there, it was just kind of just a weird feeling, kind of a thing. And I've told him I was freaked out. I'm the one who would get freaked out. If anything were to happen, I would be the one to get freaked out. But so we went up the trail. We went up pretty far into the wooded area, and surprisingly enough, it's a very, very traveled trail. It's not something that is backcountry. This is actually a good cut trail. And we came around a curve, and we were going up the side of this hill, and Joe was behind me about 10 feet, and it was dark, like it is now, just before dawn, and he called out, "Andy." And I turned around, I came back, and I said, "What is it?" And he said, "Right up there, I saw the silhouette, the shape of one." And it was the stereotypical conical head with the shoulders and stuff like that. And then when I looked up there, because I have a very bright headlamp that I shined up that way, the only thing I saw were a group of trees. There was a really big giant tree and then a bunch of other little trees. And I asked him, I said, "Was it up there where those trees were?" And he said, "Yes, it was." And I went up the hillside up to where those trees were, looked around, couldn't find anything, came back down to the trail, turned around, and when I looked up, the great big giant tree was completely gone. No stumps, no tree fall, there just wasn't a tree. So we decided, okay, this is our hot spot, this is where we're going to look, this is where we're going to look for other clues. We started looking around, we found a number of, not necessarily tree falls, but the tree bends. We found an area that looked just like, it looked like a perfect nest, didn't it? Do you remember that? And so that just got us charged up, And so we decided, well, we'll go come back down to the main trail and we'll go on up and around. As we went up and around, we got to looking down, and sure enough, footprint about that big. And it was a full trackway, 3 steps. My walking stick that I have is a 6 foot tall walking stick, and the tracks were 6 foot heel to toe stride. And recently I've done a little math on that because there's calculations you can do, and it's estimated about 8 to 10 feet tall. And so we found deer tracks right with those footprints, so we were like, aha, they must have been getting some food. So when we went further up onto the ridge, we had an experience where we both felt like we were being watched. Of course, that's just a feeling, give or take.
Facts, but they are instincts.
Exactly. It's, give and take that one. That's not necessarily, that's not footprints.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we found bear sign, bear scat, and all the other stuff that was further back down the trail. And we came back. That was it. That was our first experience. But what's been amazing is the fact that every time we've gone back there, something has always happened when we've gone back there. We've heard a hoop at that same location. We've had tree knocks, response tree knocks. We've had, the last time we just were up there back in July, we went up there in July after the, it was after the conference, right?
Yep.
And went up, absolutely nothing. Completely different atmosphere, completely different feeling, just completely different. Came back down, there's a tree that's laying down on the side of the trail that was not there when we went up. And we're like, okay, all right, thanks for letting us know you're still here. So we just head on out. And then, so that was literally, Deb, want to add anything to that? I mean, that was essentially...
Well, when I
when
I seen the silhouette, I walked up on top of the ridge.
Yes.
And I had my hiking stick, and I was just going to let you know about how tall it was.
Yes.
So, I had the hiking stick, and it was about, we come up with 9-10 feet is about what we thought it was. But yeah, it was the silhouette. It was the cone head, no neck, big broad shoulders, and shine the light. It was there, and then I said Andy, and then it just disappeared. And then I walked up, and then Andy says, right where you seen it, that's where I seen a tree.
This tree.
And now the tree's gone. So something was there, and then it wasn't there.
And I knew there was definitely something in that spot. Because, and I have a picture of it I could show you. Because I took it that morning. There was a tree laying to the side, kind of laying over like this. And the shadow from that tree was on what was behind it because of my headlamp.
Yeah.
So there was something there. And then when we came back and we looked up and we're like, okay, how do you explain this?
You reached that. I believe this now.
Yes, exactly. But then the other experiences we've had, like the one morning we had the whoop, because we like doing morning hikes instead of going out at night. We like going before it gets dawn. Then the night we had the whoop, that was an experience because it was the next ridge over that we heard. And when that thing sounded off, there must have been coyotes really close to it because all the coyotes started screaming and running across the ridge.
Trying to go the other direction.
The other direction from wherever that whoop was coming from is exactly right. And so, and then just recently, again, explanation, kind of hard to find one. Harley Owens, that we met at the convention, he allowed us to go to his location that he goes, which I can't divulge, I'm so sorry. And we had a thump. And I'm not just talking about...
I'd call it a stomp.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was loud.
I know you've described it before, like the sound of a car door slamming. I think it was even heavier than that.
Like you can feel it when it hits.
Yeah, yeah. And what was awesome was the fact that it wasn't just me hearing it. Joe heard it. The other two individuals that were there heard it. And it just stood out. Something fierce. So, yeah. I mean, what is this thing? I mean, I think I think I've got ghosts figured out, and I'm pretty sure I've got aliens figured out. But this one I haven't.
Because there's no tangible proof, and I think that's what drives us in this field. I go at it somewhat, almost boring. I'll build a fire, I'll sit around the fire, and I'll wait a lot of times. And I get reactions where I generally go and investigate. What Joe and I were actually talking about earlier while we were on trail, when we finished up with the conference at Gatlinburg, we went up and did the Roaring Fork Trail.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
When I was up at the look-off, we were fixing to pull out. I had the top off the Jeep, and I just let out a big whoop, being goofy. I had no intentions of getting a response, and got one. And when he and I were discussing it, he had the same thing happen at the exact same spot. So I think we need to look into that the next time we're up there.
Yeah, that would be a good spot to go.
What drives me in the research, I had a classic Class A sighting when I was very young. I watched it run across a field. It was 150, 200 yards, broadsided. Ran like it, when it started off, it didn't just speed up like a human does when they go to run. This thing went from a 0 to full tilt that quick, and ran across the field. And everybody's like, well, why didn't you take pictures and all this stuff? You don't have time to really think about that. It's more of, I'm in shock. What am I seeing? Because your brain doesn't process this. And I literally watched it run across the field, and I never moved anything but my eyes. And
how big do you think it was?
I went back a few years later, because I got to thinking about it, and I'm like, I got to see what this was. Then I didn't drive. Once I got to where I could drive, I went back over with a tape measure. Its head was level with a limb that came out on a maple tree. And when I measured the maple tree limb, it was at 10 feet. So I'm guesstimating somewhere between 7 to 9 maybe. It's hard to tell. Just depends on how fast the tree grows. So that's the only comparison I had that I could take. That same year, my dad and I were hunting close to the area that I really want to take you guys to soon. We walked out of a chop field into hardwoods, and it was like somebody just cut the sound off. He stopped me. I mean, I felt it. Something did not want us there. I felt.
Did you experience that?
It was fear.
Yeah.
And he just turned. He never said a word. He just turned and walked kind of down the hill and back into the chop field. We hit the chop field, birds, squirrels. Everything went to normal. And all he said was, something didn't want us in there. And in the same spot, it'd be, from then it was probably close to 20 years later, I was in the woods hunting, and I honestly, because you don't think Sasquatch when you're in the woods hunting, back then I thought it was coyotes, but they were all around me, screaming at me, whoop, 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 from all different directions. I never saw the first bush move. I never saw one cross the road I was on. I mean, I was on a logging road. It was clear. And I fired my weapon three times. They never stopped. When I closed the door of my truck, dead silence. So there are times I think we're dealing with something that may be here, but may not be. And I want to investigate that. I want to dig deeper into it. Harley even had mentioned possible demonics. I do know Sasquatch. I watched it run across a field. But I think there's something else here that we're taking multiple things and sticking them together and saying this is the same being, when maybe it might not be.
I think, though, I keep hearing stuff over there. I think, and I hear vocalizations. Do you all hear that? Have you been hearing that? Yeah, you've been hearing it? Okay, the hair is going up anyways. Which could be something, it could not be. But anyways, I think what's interesting is if you look at the Native American history behind Sasquatch and about their interactions with them and so forth, and how they interact.
Well, they said they traded with them.
Yeah, there were tribes out west that would trade with these creatures, And I think what you were talking about, the demonics, and I'll go so far as stating a spiritual thing. I think that is leading right towards the right direction, and maybe not necessarily. Let me twist it a little bit. Maybe not necessarily spirits as far as angels and devils, but more along the lines of interdimensional. That you hear stories of people, like for us, or for me, him it was a shadow, me it was a tree. One moment it was there, next moment it's not. And you hear other people with their own sightings. You know, one moment I saw it, I looked away, I looked back, it was gone.
Exactly.
And there's no running away. Like I ran up to the spot and I looked around and there was nothing there. That kind of a story, you hear that all the time with them. And so I seriously think it's a... See, I approach it in a very biblical context. So yes, I do think it has to do with a spiritual aspect to it. I would even go so far as to say it was of a Nephilim. I mean, we hear that word being thrown around so much lately, but I seriously think that's a great explanation for what these things are.
Well, it allows us the ability to take something that's so misunderstood, because you do have that disappearance.
Yeah.
And you have something that's somewhat tangible that you can place on it and say, okay, this is a potential. And I think that's where we come in with our investigations, to get boots on the ground, you know, all of our detectors, you know, cameras. I've literally had a camera, tree cam, on a trail and never got any photos off of it, but I found handprints in front of it, footprints in front of it, and it never tripped. So there's something here that it's not quite normal. The paranormal.
So I think a theory I'd like to point out there, if we're going to look back at historical things, and I like that aspect. I don't know if you heard that. I like that aspect of it, of the historical aspect of it, because that gives us a solid foundation. That people can't go back and say, oh, well, this is just a 21st century or a 20th century construct to make money or to cause fear or something along those lines. No, go back, look at history, look at the written record. And there are, like I was telling my wife before we came down here from Tennessee, either Davy Crockett or Daniel Boone, there's a legend that both of them bagged one. And so, okay, yeah, I know with those two guys, there's a lot of legend around them. I don't know.
Most legends come from some sort of truth.
I quote I quote J.R.R. Tolkien, "It rings true." Yes, it does ring true. It has a ring to it, and it rings true.
Well, even from my family being from this area, growing up, they had stories of they would leave a basket of corn at the end of the cornfield for the hairy man.
Hairy man, yeah.
And it wasn't, that was back in the 1800s, you know, into the early 1900s, but way before it was sensationalized and you had the Squatch, you know.
Yeah. The Gimlin shot.
Yeah.
I think we can, I know a lot of people saying, oh, well, you know, you're being, you know, you're trying to pull things out, make things fit and so forth. But if you look back at history, there have been so many great individuals of legend. I mean, even Native Americans have their great individuals of legend as well. And how can a normal human being do something like that and do those things? We can't, but something else can, and it's definitely not human.
Yeah.
And I think that's another, you're talking about evidence, and that's another thing. It's like Dave Pilates and Scott Carpenter, which we mentioned earlier, God rest his soul. They did their DNA study, and you know, everybody tried to shoot that thing down.
Yeah.
But it came back showing all kinds of stuff that you can't explain unless you put that supernatural element into it, or that interdimensional element into it, or whatever you want to put into it to fill in that gap, because that's the only thing we got to fill in that gap.
It's all we have, and we have to build off of that.
Yes.
I mean, you look at houses that's already built, you don't think that much about it, but it starts with, digging the dirt first. Get in the dirt, find what's going on, then start looking for the concrete or our plaster of cast. You start small and you work up. And we may never solve this mystery, but if we're not doing it, mainstream science is not going to.
No, because
It's suicide. I mean, it literally is suicide for them.
there are individuals out there that are mainstream that you see on the Discovery Channel or History Channel or Sci-Fi Channel, and I think their hearts are in the right spot, but I seriously think that they'll never get anywhere.
Well, if they find it, their job's over.
Well, not necessarily that. I think if they find it, I think it'll be allowed to be found.
Yeah.
And I think that's another reason why the stigma that's around Bigfoot is, well, you're just a weirdo that you believe in Bigfoot. Okay. I think Joe and I are pretty normal guys. I mean, we're pretty normal guys. I mean, we have a church that we go to the same church. We have friends, we have, wives, we have
Just
families.
just
and
one each.
Yeah, no, one wife each. And
I just want to clarify that.
so we are average Joes.
Pardon the pun.
Exactly.
And Andy's.
Yeah. And so we've had experiences that there's, okay, are we weirdos because we've had these experiences? Are we weirdos that we talk about them? I don't know.
Maybe we are a little weird, but let's think back, especially in the 70s and 80s with the UFO phenomenon.
Yeah.
You had all these people, oh, they're crazy. They made jokes on television. They made fun of them on the news. And now all of a sudden we have a government that's admitted, hey, there's something out there. We don't know what it is. But y'all been calling people crazy for years. So that's what I kind of hold on to. And the people that are making fun and all that, it's all the same guys. They just can't believe because it unsettles their world.
Yeah.
So I'm going to, I know what I saw. If other people don't believe it, that's on them.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you right now, I saw a UFO yesterday morning, walking my dog. It was an object, it was flying, and I could not identify it.
Yep.
Okay. And I've seen a number of those, both daylight and at nighttime. And I just... Yeah. Did you hear that going through the water? But you use reasoning. You figure out that man behind the camera heard growling. He described it to us. We heard the water moving. Most likely it's a bear. Most likely, if it was trying to get something, it would have come up on us already. So, earlier though, when we had the vocalizations and the stuff falling down from the side of the hill, that was a whole other conversation.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm fairly certain we're in a hot spot. Yeah. Just saying.
But we don't know if we want to tell you where it's at. But I will say this as we get a tree off. I will say this, and I'm going to say it to you all if you're watching this. Be careful, because there's so many opportunities for something bad to go wrong. Don't go by yourself. All right? My favorite thing to say is get right with the Lord before you do anything. All right? And just be careful out there, because so many people disappear in these mountains.
Oh, yeah.
So many people disappear out in the middle of nowhere. You would think, okay, where did they go? And they're gone, and you never see them again. And so, you know, is that Bigfoot? I don't know. Is that something else? I don't know. But regardless, it's a real phenomenon, and it's something that needs to be addressed, and it needs to be in your mind. It needs to be forefront. So like when we go out, just the two of us, if he goes off trail, I try to keep him in eyesight through the whole thing, because I'm his backup.
I think that's the whole thing he's talking about me. It's like, don't just keep going out there and it's just, I hear something, I'm gone.
Yeah.
So,
He does, yeah. But yeah, so I mean, you don't, and that's, like for example, today, we went to the Sasquatch experience today, and received a report of it was what, about 5 miles, 6 miles away from here.
Yeah.
And it was from yesterday. The report was from yesterday, and it was broad daylight, and it was about, gosh, guys, 50 feet from a rental cabin, and broad daylight. Well, we go out there to investigate. Guess what? We have footprints. We figured out that they're following deer, and while we're out there, deer go by. They're down in the woods. I went back to the cars. I'm standing there, and I see the deer go by, and I hear something coming up the woods right behind him, and I get the phone. Okay.
We're going to get it on camera.
Exactly, and nothing came out of the woods. And
didn't you say there was 3 different sightings in 1 week in that area?
This past week there was 3 different sightings in that one area. One of them was yesterday, and it was a broad daylight sighting. So you don't have to be out here at night to get a sighting. You don't know when you'll see it.
Yeah.
So.
They say they're primarily nocturnal, but it was daylight when I had my Class A. It was right before dark. I will give.
I question the nocturnal thing. The only reason I question the nocturnal thing is the fact that if their eyesight's like ours, we need light.
Yeah.
We need it. So if they're, okay, let's say they're a type of human. Let's say they're a type of primate, okay? For kicks and giggles, they need light. Yes, there are some primates out there that are nocturnal. There's not a lot of them, and they're not big.
No, most of them are.
Exactly. So, these things need light. So I think the whole nocturnal thing is, and as I say this as we're sitting out here in the dark.
With vocalizations.
Yeah, exactly. I think I think it's been sensationalized. How's that sound?
Yeah.
How does that sound?
I can agree with that.
Wouldn't it make sense if you had all the windows in your house open and you're trying to go to sleep at night, and you hear some idiot out just down the street going, woo, woo.
My neighbors hear that quite frequently.
Whole other conversation.
Yeah.
But anyways, you would yell out, "Shut up!"
Yeah.
Well, it's no wonder you would get vocalizations at night. They're telling us to shut up.
And then sometimes it could be that they are moving at night when it's a full moon.
It's true.
Just like deer and other animals. Because, I mean, I used to go out riding horses on full moon nights. We would ride literally all night because the horses settled down and it was a much better ride.
Wow. That would be cool. I'm sorry. Squirrel. Anyways. But,
I'm retired fire, so yeah, I get it. ADHD all day.
I should have been a Ritalin kid. It's all good. But yeah, man, I mean, well, like yourself, you said you had that experience when you were young. I know recently you shared the images that you saw on the side of the road. Was that close by?
That was actually maybe 100 yards from my house.
Okay.
It's down in Jasper.
Jasper. Okay.
Yeah. And the only reason I'm not taking us down there this trip is I have a oak tree about this big around that goes across the road right now that I haven't had time to chop up.
Okay.
It fell last week, so.
Well, I mean, do you want to share anything else? I mean, about your experience?
With my experiences, with the primaries, the ones that really shook me, were, I've already shared with you guys and them. I've had others, like the tree knots and the stomp. That one, because I'm in the woods by myself. I've got a campfire. I'm just chilling, and I hear something across that's about like this. There's a huge bank going up, and it was maybe 30 foot up the bank, but it's steeper than this. I can't walk up it. It's really, really steep. And when the foot stomp happened, I ran to the truck to get my gun. I mean, it shook me. But where it was at, it's like, okay, what was that? Because it's literally right there. I'm deaf. I didn't hear the vocalizations, because I'm very hard of hearing sirens. But it shook me so bad that I just sat there for a little while, and I was like, am I even going to stay here? Because you felt it when it hit. It wasn't just like it was like somebody dropping a D8 dozer on the ground or something. Yeah. And I ended up staying and heard nothing else the rest of the night.
We've heard almost the exact same thing before. Different location, but yeah.
It was so sudden, and then and that weird being watched feeling goes away, because I do listen to those instincts a lot. Because when you start getting that arm, like I am right now, strangely enough, the hair raising on the back of your neck, something's watching you, there is something there. We may not see it, we may not know what it is, but something's there. And so I try to listen to those instincts. I know feelings aren't facts, but if you listen to that, go on the big scan, maybe we'll get those.
Ready? Mm-hmm. Wow, that was pretty good, Mike. Good job. Good job. The bugs weren't too bad. And you know what was the greatest thing there? In my personal opinion, is literally something crossed the stream behind us. Now that's a little creek over there. I definitely don't think it was Sasquatch or Bigfoot or anything like that. I think it was probably a bear. But it did go across the water, and I kept hearing it. I kept looking, and then I saw Andrew stop, and that's where we had that. I kind of threw that little bit of a technical difficulty thing in there just real quick to go, but those guys were fun to be out in the woods with.
They were real good guys. Even up, Joe and I walked a little further up, just having conversation, and heard something going on up there. But headlamps, the big lights, whatever, you just couldn't see enough to figure out what was going on. But we have to list that up as probably bear, but an unknown.
Right. And it's kind of funny. So earlier that day we went over to an area and where there was sightings that were told to Dave over at Expedition Bigfoot. So we jumped on it, went over there, and we found good trails. Nothing that was castable, but definitely big enough prints to be able to see an impression, and the strides were correct, and you could tell they were chasing deer because the deer run through there. Right, you know what I'm saying? And then that night, and then the next day, we went over to Fort Mountain. I won't give away the location where we went, but we went on top of Fort Mountain, so there's the location. But there's a lot of tops of Fort Mountain. And we were trying to look at an area where a friend of ours, both of us know Mr. Greg, and we were like, okay, let's see what he was talking about. Now, the only thing that I would say is that I disagreed with anybody is I didn't find it squatchy in any way, shape, or form. I think it was and I thought about it after I got home, because I don't want to be always the Debbie Downer or the guy that's always naysaying it, because I really, really do want to see one. I really, really do, right? But what I think it was a travel corridor. That maybe it's going from one valley to the valley, one holler to another holler, so it could find food. Because when we first got there were so many people inside that park. There's no way that the animals, bears, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever you want to call it, or even deer is going to go anywhere near that because of the amount of people, especially where we were at, because there was a huge, it was a Cub Scout or Boy Scouts, one of those things, big old an outing. So that there had to be 100 people sitting there. So I just don't see it, but I do believe that it's probably it's a travel corridor.
Most of North Georgia, especially late summer, you're looking at somewhat a travel corridor. I see, you catch the, we're seeing whatever, and generally late summer is that time of year. I think they're just passing through, trying to get from one area to another. I think they're intelligent enough that they're not going to stay in one area too long, that they deplete the resources.
Right.
I've heard migration is a possibility, also, and had experiences in the middle of the winter here. So I can't necessarily say that it's only this time of year when you're going to see it. I think it's more probable to see more activity, especially during, when the females have dropped the small deer and things like that. So it may be that springtime in the Fort Mountain area may be a lot better. I just, I've not investigated that area enough, and I didn't see anything that I would point out and say, yeah, that's sign,
Right.
trees, things like that. But we saw even Native American sign with the trees.
Right.
So it's something that to revisit at a later time and may get some really good action. But this time it was a bust.
Well, I'm looking forward to I don't know about anybody else, but I think the winter time's the best time for me, in my opinion, to get out in the woods. Yeah, it's cold, but you know what? It's easier to track, in my opinion. Summertime, fall especially, hard to track, super hard, right? And I do, and so I'm gonna drop the little nugget here. So there's something coming on the horizon for me and Mike, and we're trying to find a couple more people, I do believe. So it's not just me and him being boring, because we get out there, we jibber jabber. Yeah, and I want to talk about true woodsman tracking. I was thinking about it the other night. Is one of the things, and this is just a teaser of some of the stuff we'll talk about, is when you go out into the woods, when you're hunting, let's do it this, when you're hunting, I was always told you don't bathe 2 days before you go out. You don't wear any underarm donut. You don't brush your teeth. You don't wear any cologne. You don't put bug spray on. You smoke your fatigues. And most people don't even do that. I've said that a couple of times, and people go, "What the hell are you talking about?" I said, "Yeah, you smoke your clothes." Like, I don't think I've ever washed my greens, ever. Well, no, I did, because I had I was field dressing a deer and it pooped on me, and I cut the bad sack, which was bad. So I did have to wash them. But typically, I mean, do you guys do that? I mean, and you smoke with the woods that you're going into. So if there's a lot of elm, you smoke with elm. If there's a lot of oak, you smoke with oak. If there's a lot of pine, you smoke with pine. And then you put those in. I have a wet bag that I used to use when I was diving, that I've been using for years. When I smoke, I'll throw them in there immediately coming off, so the smoke holds. I don't know. I can't see these people going out there that show up. There's like 50, 60 of them. First of all, that's crazy. I mean, even 6 is a lot. Deer and bear smell you miles away. Miles away. They know. And so you can't go in there smelling all GQ and right? I mean, if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong, but
I have literally, I've got a stand just below the house here, and I tried using the no scent underarm deodorant and the spray nose and all this, and I have had deer blow at me from 70 yards away, just about every time I tried to hunt it. But the smoke, they'll walk under you, and will literally stand there and never wind you.
Yep. So, and there's things. That's the things we're going to talk about. I mean, everybody wants to go out and talk about, we're going to go out. I know we'll do more investigations and we'll run out into the woods and stuff like, and it's just, you're going to see what you're going to see, right? It is what it is. But you got to be prepared. You got to go out there. You got to park away from where you're going in because your car stinks. If you have air, and again, in my truck, no air fresheners, nothing, because that stuff lingers on you. Now you've gone and done all this work to smoke your stuff out, your fatigues and all that kind of stuff, and then you get in a car that smells like Dracar Noir. The next thing you know, well, that's what you smell like, and that carries throughout the woods. But anyway, hey Mike, thanks for being on. I appreciate it. We got more coming from us. I know we'll do some announcements later on that. Hey everybody, thanks for watching tonight. I do appreciate it. Mike's been an awesome guest, and he did a great job interviewing Joe and Andrew. And Mike, you're a natural, baby. You're a natural. We'll see everybody next time on ParaGeeks.